Chapter 4. The Drawing. During these first few months, Edith formed two friendships. One was with Fanny Edgecombe, another novice nurse. They met the day Edith was assigned to a 56-bed ward. Edith had taken a few moments to kneel and pray over a patient who had had spinal surgery for paralysis the previous day, when she heard a voice come up behind her and felt a hand on her shoulder. "Edith." The voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Have you been back to your room since yesterday?" Edith raised her head and saw Fanny standing over her. "There's a time to sleep and a time to pray. This is a time to pray," answered Edith. When the patient saw Fanny, he held out his Bible to her. "Look what she's done for me. Open it." Fanny took it and opened it to the flyleaf. Beautifully etched on the page was a picture of an apple blossom. Beneath it were the words, "If thou canst hold thy peace and suffer, then shalt thou see without a doubt the help of the Lord." Fanny looked at Edith. "I must warn you that I am prepared to like you very much. I hope you approve." "I do, but I must warn you. I have made a hash of previous friendships." Fanny, a lithe and attractive young woman, put her arm under Edith's arm and pulled her to her feet. "Not this one. You look awful. Let's go and get you washed and into a clean uniform." A few days later, while at supper, Fanny confessed to Edith that she'd wanted to get to know her before meeting her that day on the ward. "I hesitated to approach you because I was told you were a bit of a cold fish and that you had no sense of humour." Realising how unkind it sounded, she added quickly, "I'm so sorry. Not that you weren't a nice fish. Oh, that's not what I meant to say either." Both laughed at the awkwardness. Fanny's eyebrows always reminded Edith of two brown caterpillars that moved nervously about when she was upset. "Fanny, it's all right. I've always considered myself to be rather boring. I'm so glad you went fishing and reeled me in. Never mind all this. Let's have a glass of stout. The Crossman Brewery just donated a few kegs to us, and I managed to get the last two glasses from the barrel." While sharing a glass of the dark amber ale, the two women learned more about each other. Fanny discovered that Edith was 30 and the oldest of 4 children. Edith learned that Fanny was 22 and one of 14 children. Another probationer, Bessie Leonard, became Edith's second friendship. She was assigned with Edith to polish the brass plaques over each bed, the 2 large tea urns and the brass banisters. "How long did it take you to get used to the smell of yellow soap and carbolic acid on the wards?" asked Bessie, while reaching inside a large brass urn and scrubbing out the brown stains. "It doesn't bother me as much as the cabbage cooking in the kitchen," said Edith. "How about the smell from those maggots in the big German longshoreman's leg?" "You're right," said Edith. "That rotten flesh smell is worse than the cabbage. He'll lose that leg if he doesn't die of a blood infection first. Or if Dr. Swingle gets his hands on him." Edith rubbed hard on the other brass urn. "After I made 30 beds last week, the ward nurse came by and ripped them all up. She ordered me to make them all over again." "Why? Whatever for?" Bessie queried. "She said the blue and white bedspread squares were uneven on each side because there were 8 squares on one side and 10 on the other instead of 9 on each side." Edith shook her head in disbelief. "Last Friday I couldn't even find any bloody bedspreads," said Bessie. "By the end of the week supplies are sparse around here." "Maybe I should sign up for ward work on Friday so I won't have to deal with the number of squares on each side," said Edith. The two women smiled and continued to share stories until both urns were gleaming. Edith learned that Bessie was a 25-year-old Roman Catholic from Australia. Although her thick brown hair always appeared frazzled with wisps sticking out all over, Edith thought Bessie attractive. But what Edith loved the most about Bessie was the younger woman's hearty sense of humour and need for adventure. "Soon," said Edith, We'll be done with our probationary training. Then we'll have a day to ourselves. How about taking the tram into London and troll around the city?" "A tram to London?" exclaimed Fanny, walking up to the two urn polishers. "If you two are going to bustle around the city for a day, count me in." "Brilliant," said Edith. "You're in. What are you assigned to today?" Edith was amused at the way Fanny pursed her lips before she spoke. "I'm to sweep and dust the wards today. They started using the fireplaces last week. Makes everything rather sooty. I'm going to collect some fresh rags." "You know, I heard the other probationers have given the three of us a title," Edith shared with her friends. "A title? You mean like some kind of Dickens characters called Scrub, Rub and Flub?" "No, nothing like that. They call us the Three Graces." "Like Hail Mary, full of grace?" asked Fanny, folding her hands in a gesture of prayer. Edith shot a glance over to Fanny. "I've been called worse." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a single sheet of paper. "I have something to show you." The other two stared at a cartoon ink drawing of a probationer with a broom under one arm and a bucket spilling water on her feet. Stuffed under a door cap, her hair was skewed to one side and dishevelled. Her starched apron was stained, and she had a harried look on her dirty face. Underneath the drawing were the words, "A slave." Bessie looked up. "And which of us is this, Edith?" "It could be any of us, but you can't tell by the hair that it's you," said Fanny. "A slave," read Bessie, holding her head sideways to see the paper in Fanny's hands. "Brilliantly done." "What is brilliantly done?" asked a stern voice behind them. A large hand belonging to the ward sister reached between them and grabbed the paper out of Fanny's hands. Many of the ward sisters were senior nursing students who felt they were doing the probationers a favour by berating them to make them tough. They were encouraged to report all infractions to the matron. This ward sister was particularly feared for her overzealous monitoring. She looked at the drawing and back at the three flushed faces. "Who is responsible for this?" No one moved. The room fell silent. Finally, Edith spoke up. "I am. It was just a bit of fun after all the cleaning we've been doing." "If you have time to do this, obviously we aren't keeping you busy enough. I'm giving this to Miss Lux. You can discuss your joke with her." The ward sister marched away with a firm grip on the drawing. Bessie stuck her hands in her pockets. "What do you think Miss Lux will do about it?" "I never thought a simple drawing could create such a stir," said Edith, stunned at the ward sister's response. "She will probably just make you scrub out a few more brass urns," offered Fanny. Edith's throat tightened. "Or dismiss me for insubordination."